Shut up and sit down.
That's right. Boom.
Ooh, wait a minute.
Hey, don't get me all dizzy. Hey, welcome everybody. What's happening? This is Dope and Dharma. I'm the street certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado. That's the Dharma guy, Trinity Phillips. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up?
God, I'm doing great.
Glad to be here. Just flew in yesterday. My arms are tired.
It's been an eventful day. Anyway,
Yeah, right.
This is the Couch Live edition of Dope and Dharma, where we talk about addiction recovery, family issues, how to stay healthy, mental health issues, people.
Oh boy,
we need to stay well. Well, I mean, we need to stay well, yes. Trinity. Because
you know what, I would concur on that one.
Well, you've seen how we respond when we're not well, right?
Ooh,
you see what we do.
Respond? I see how we react.
That's even better, Trinity. The way you said it. So let's talk about that. You know, that's the deal today. But before we get into talking about response versus reaction, and you know, the ultimate fix was, hey, just breathe, man. Just breathe. Right? Which is actually a good song, Absolutely. The way it's written and the way it's done. That's, you know, she did a fantastic job with that song. But before we get into that, can you tell everybody how they can join us, listen to us, follow us, all that other stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. As always, well, if you're going to listen to us live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, you could do so under Dope and Dharma. And then, of course, on Mondays, you could check us out on 1680 AM WOKB, or you can check us out at 100.7 FM, also WOKB radio. Or as our old co-host here would say, is turn the dial.
I don't say turn a dial. I say it's 100.7 on your dial. That's right. It is on your dial. Whether you want to play, whatever. They all know what I mean.
Well, I don't know about that anymore. I think there's some youths out there who might not know what the dial means, but go for it.
Yeah, well, they should go buy a Rubik's
Cube. We have to accept the fact, man, that we've reached that age now where some of the things that we're going to remember, they have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay. All right. I suppose that they're not going to know what a Walkman is now, right? They don't know what a Walkman is.
Ooh, probably not, bro. Just real quickly, I've done groups where I've said, "Hey, like in the Matrix," and they'll look at me and they literally ask, "What is that?" So, if they don't remember the Matrix references, I'm gonna say they might not remember Walkman references.
Oh, well, I bet you they remember Cheech and Chong. Bet you they remember that.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe.
All right, I'm gonna start testing them. All right. Well, anyway, this is the Couch Live edition of Dope and Dharma. Thank you, the folks over there, Shaw, the producer over there at 1680 AM, WOKB in the Central Florida area and 100.7 FM in the Central Florida area. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Let's see if we can entertain you just a little bit, maybe help you a little bit, maybe talk about something that pertains to you. And if it doesn't, not today, maybe some other day, or maybe somebody you like or love. Hopefully they like and love you back. That's sometimes the issue, Trinity.
Yeah.
But all right, so I told you to just breathe. First of all, it was an eventful day. I mean, I'm not even going to get into it. It's just an eventful day, right? And but I can't complain too much, Trinity, because I worked from the beach. So when you're able to work from the beach,
yeah,
you're only allowed to complain this much, Trinity. This much,
sure.
But anyway, so I want to talk about it because what I find a lot when I'm sitting back. Tell me if you experience the same thing. You know, and neither of us do a whole heck of a lot of scrolling on social media, but you still see the immediate stuff that's in front of you, right? There's stuff that's immediately in front of you. The algorithms, however they're written, they say, "Hey, Louis, Trinity, you guys might want to look at this." So we do, right? Hey, what's up, Vincent? Vincent Farr on Facebook Live is watching, and so we see a lot of reactions from people. I don't know. I tend to see a lot of reactions from people. I don't know about you, but I see a lot of reactions. As a matter of fact, the crazier the reaction, the more people love it, you know, including myself.
Yeah, of course.
Me too. Hey, Marissa, what's up? Also on Facebook Live. You know, I tend to see reactions, and I'm entertained. I got to admit it. Somebody going off in a you know, some Waffle House or whatever starts throwing everything around. As much as I don't like what the person's doing, I'm still entertained enough to watch it. I might even watch it twice. Can't help myself, Trinity. But is it the way to go? I mean, is it the way to be? One thing is watching it and being entertained from it. The other is experiencing it and experiencing the consequences of it. And that's what I wanted to get into today, because I think a little bit too often um, we're becoming way okay with our reactions. What do you say to that so far?
Yeah, I would agree. I absolutely will watch it. Do I want to be the actor in that particular play?
Right.
No, I would prefer not to be. Having said that, have I been the actor in that play before? Yeah, absolutely, of course. However, I've made giant strides in my life to not be that person. I
Right.
think when I was younger, I was very reactionary to things.
Right.
I think when something I didn't something that wasn't just, or something that upset me, or hurt my feelings, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did not do a great job of responding in a calm, cool, collected manner.
Right. And what would you say are some of the examples of reactions? Like when I say reactions, what are some examples that come to mind?
Well, I mean, I think of getting defensive. I think of yelling. I think of people who actually, do the fisticuffs. They actually fight and hit one another. Throwing things. Just very volatile behavior. Just behavior that we've probably all either witnessed or participated in. Just that the kind of behavior where you look back and you see somebody and you're like, whoa, that was a bit much.
Wait a
That's
minute.
what I
Did
think
you?
of.
Wait a minute, man. You got on me by calling
I
the
did that on
radio
purpose,
a
by the way.
dial, and then you said the fisticuffs. You even did the
That's right.
underhanded. Those of you that
Of
can't see him,
course.
if you're watching on Facebook Live, you can watch him the way he does it, or YouTube Live. You can see the way he does
Right.
his fisticuffs.
I did that
You
on
know,
purpose. I'm trying to speak your language.
he's trying to say, "You did that for me, throwing
That's
hands.
right,
Don't
man.
think I know what throwing hands are." Yeah. you know,
Get my Walkman out, man, and turn
right,
the
right.
dial and get some
Yeah.
fisticuffs.
All right. All right. And so other forms of reactions are more internal than you do to yourself, right? Like I've seen reactions. I've done this. Tell me if you've done this. Have you ever gotten mad at the house and you get in your car and leave, and when you leave, you go really fast, like you peel out, or you somehow rev an engine or something. Have you
Yes.
ever done that? Ever done that?
Yes.
I was
Yes,
I
I
would
have
say
done that.
most people have done that, right? Have you ever
Yeah.
left the room and turn out the light on the person and slam the door? Have you ever done that?
Um, I don't know if I turn the light out on somebody, but I've definitely slammed doors for sure.
Yeah. I like slamming doors. Slamming doors is like, I think
Well,
it sounds better.
that's how you let them know that you're upset, right? Like, you don't calmly tell them, "Hey, I didn't really like." No, you slam the door. That's code
Right,
for I'm upset right now.
right, right.
Yeah.
Or the passive aggressive, turn off the light or leave it wide open or something, right?
Yeah.
Like that, right? All right. I'm trying to think of common everyday reactions that we kind of feel okay with, and I mentioned some of that. Like I wouldn't do the car screech. Like I did that as a teenager. I'm not a leaving, but I've done it. I'm not that
Sure.
person. But I will slam a door. Slam a door. That's one that I've totally accepted in my repertoire of reactions. Like that's in my repertoire of reactions. I'll slam a door
Sure.
like a little hard, right?
Right.
Um,
Well, and
and so
there's like slamming things on the desk or something like that, or there's like the good old, like, if you're in the middle of doing something like this, the first thing that pops in my mind, because I know I've done it in the past, is like if
mhm.
you're putting dishes away or something, putting things back like aggressively and loudly, just whatever you're doing, just dialed up to like a 10, right? So whatever common everyday task you're doing with a little bit more force, a little bit more aggression, because for
Right,
some
right.
reason that works, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta know I'm mad.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stupid dish.
I'm gonna really put this cup back
Yeah. Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. The fact that you're actually putting the cup back, I'm gonna let you go ahead and be mad at me, man. I'm like, I'm not gonna mess with you
Right.
because I wouldn't even be putting the cup back. So I'm not. You're way better than
Right.
me, Trinity, because you're actually doing the dishes. So I want you
Right.
more mad at me. Get more mad at me. Go clean them dishes
Yeah, right.
hard. Go take it out on that dish, Trinity. Go scrub
Exactly.
it. Go scrub it.
Just
Scrub that niceness out of that damn dish. Go ahead, Trinity. I like that. I like the way you get angry. Go cook me. I'm gonna cook this steak so hard. I'm gonna cook this steak so hard on you, man.
yeah. Yeah, that's nowadays though. Back
Right,
in the
right,
day, it wasn't
right.
that.
Yeah, you're such a responsible person that's the best you got. Is I'm gonna scrub.
Well, that's
the
because
dish.
I used to break things and hurt people, so I've
Yeah,
learned
well,
not to do those anymore.
your house started it with 12 people. Now it's down to like 4. You just keep
Exactly.
hurting them. You just keep hurting them and get rid of them.
Exactly.
No, I get it, man. The other things is like, doing stuff to ourselves, right? Getting drunk. Like, so there's people out there that think, I'm mad at you. I'm gonna go get drunk. Like that's gonna
Yeah, I'll show
that'll
you.
that'll show you. Get drunk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get high. I'm gonna go use a drug on you,
I'm,
man.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
make bad decisions tonight. I'll show
Yeah,
you.
I'm gonna go
I'm
make
not
that. Yeah,
responsible.
yeah. I'm gonna go gamble my money away. I'm gonna go cheat on you so that now I gotta deal with that, right? There's people that really, the decision that they choose to make at that time is not well thought out. It comes from midbrain. It's totally limbic system decision making,
Yes.
and what I mean by that is it's so lizard brain. It's a response. It's a reaction. It's that pleasure center that you got. It's that that part of the brain that even the most primitive of animals have. It's just a
And it feels good, by the way. Like,
oh yeah.
let's make sure we preface this all. It feels good. Like, it absolutely feels good in the moment. That doesn't mean that the consequences feel good later, but in that
Right.
exact moment, it feels good.
Right. And
It
some
feels
of
good
us
to
are
act like a child.
and some of us are so sick and are so convinced that we're okay with it that if we get asked, would you do it again? Yeah, I'll do that again. Yeah. Yeah, right. I mean, it's like there's a sickness attached to reaction that just many of us just aren't willing to change. And everybody out there has their own reactions, I mean, I gave you my favorite. My favorite is by far the closing the door hard. It's cost me several stupid mirrors that Dana for some reason puts on the back of the door, which you would think she would just stop putting mirrors on the back of doors. So why is there a mirror on the back of that door? I didn't even know there was one on the back of that door.
Well, there isn't now.
So
There was.
Yeah, I've gone through 3 in my lifetime with her. 3 in 30 years, that ain't bad, bro. That's a pretty good percentage.
It's once a decade.
Yeah, but we're good right now, so I don't want to make anything bad, right? We're good, man. But my point is that I outed myself in order to say that we all should out ourselves and say, look, here's a reaction that I tend to do that's unhealthy for me, right? And if that's the best I got, that's the best I got. But I don't want to minimize how bad that is either. You know what I mean? Because at that moment, and to her, that's not a good situation. That's not a good look. That's not a good feeling, and the vibration in the house and the temperature in the house is not good if I'm doing that. And so everybody out there has their own, whether you're a smoker, whether you're a drinker, whether you're a drug user, whether you're a poor behavioral person, you make really poor decisions behaviorally, whether you're a fighter. Some of you commit crime when you're in that reaction state. But no matter what it is, we have to be at a point where we can admit it. Like when we're calm, like right now, you and I, we're both calm right now. We can talk about it and say, look, this is my truth, right? This is the reactions that I tend to have. But most importantly, what am I going to do about it? Like, what is the real, because we say there has to be a moment of fixing that we want to get to, right? We say there's a response and reaction because, it's not really fixing anything if we're just responding and reacting, right?
Right.
That's not what it's doing. It's usually, like you said earlier, it's creating worse problems, right? Because we're up against some sort of disturbing emotion, and when we know it's better to respond than to react to that emotion, right?
Yes. But maybe not that exact moment, but we do know.
Right. But we react anyway. We really just need to sit back, take a time out, breathe, relax. That chemical, physical, or behavioral fix is never going to do it. But you do want the fix. And if you want the fix, that's what the show today is about. Is all right, do you really want the fix? Because if you want the fix instead of the fix, there's a difference between the fix and the real fix, right, Trinity?
Yeah, well, one's a solution and one's not.
Right. So that's what we wanted to talk about today. If you're interested. That's it. Sound
I am one. You got me, man. Hook, line, and sinker.
I got you. You're locked and loaded.
That's right.
All right. So we already outed ourselves a little bit about reactions, and I think everybody out there knows reactions. So the most important, let's talk about responses then, because the opposite of reacting is what? Responding, right? Responding with some responsibility, like be responsible, right? And think this through. But it's hard when your emotions are involved. So let's talk about that a little bit first. So let's say we're in the situation, Trinity, where our temperature's getting high. We feel it coming on. And there's all different kinds of emotions that can come at play. You may want to reward yourself, so you're out of control, right? You want to react to the excitement. You may want to react to anger. You may want to react to some sort of feeling of insecurity or whatever. But in that moment when the emotions happening, how do we measure it? How do we even know we're there, Trinity? If we're operating at a midbrain and we know we need our frontal lobe to actually make a better decision, how do we even know that were in that situation? Like, what's a way that you've learned how to at least know that you're there, or do you not? Do you just kind of go with it?
Well, um, do I have moments where I'm not skillful in that situation? Of course.
I like
However,
the way you always
more
say it. I'm
often,
not skillful in that situation. I like.
yeah,
I'm not skillful right now. That sounds very
yeah.
highbrow. I like it.
There's definitely some moments where I don't handle it as skillfully as I should, for sure.
Right. Mhm.
However, the majority of the time, I'd like to think that I do handle it more skillfully than I used to. But the way I've accomplished that for me personally was, number one, for starters, I try to pay attention to the feeling tone, right? Like I try to be aware, like self-aware of like, oh, I'm getting mad right now. And I
Right.
know that if I get mad or if I'm getting frustrated or if my feelings are getting hurt or whatever it is, I get aggressive. Like I want to hit back. And
Okay.
so I try to be aware of, hey, you're upset right now. Be very careful about what comes out of your mouth.
Okay.
Um, and then the other thing that really has helped me a lot, especially in my own marriage, um, is a kind of a version of what you said back in the day, which was coming from a place of love. Like
Mhm.
especially if it's like with my wife, right? It depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to my wife, if something's taking place, I try to remember that like my wife is coming from a place of survival, for instance. So she's going to react or she's going to say something. It's not necessarily, meant to cut deep to me. Well, if it comes out of her mouth in that moment, it probably is meant to be that way.
Yeah, it's
But I
probably
got to
meant to
remember
cut
that's
deep.
her yeah, but that's her defense mechanism, right? Meaning she doesn't actually feel that way. She's just hurt at the moment, so she's going to lash out. If it's if my kids are doing something, I try to remember, hey, they're kids. It's my job to teach. It's my job to guide. Um, so yeah, I mean, I do my best to try to remember the relationship that I have at the moment, which helps with
Mhm.
interpersonal relationships. Now, what's helped me with non-personal relationships, like the person who just cut you off in traffic or something, because I don't have any relationship with them, so it's I can't say, oh well, I care about their day, because at that moment I probably don't.
Right.
So with them, I
Right.
just try to remember they're just not worth it, right? Like they're insignificant in my
Mhm.
life. I'm not going to remember them 30 years from now, so why am I going to really
Mhm.
respond and react to that at the moment? Just let them blow off steam and go about my day. So for
Right.
me, those are the tools that I've used.
So let's talk about the I'm not worth it real quick because you brought that up. I'm not worth it. I hear a lot of people tell that to people to help them calm them down. Hey, it's just not worth it. Like it's just not worth
Sure.
it. You know, and
Right.
that seems to resonate with a lot of people because if not, we wouldn't hear it, right?
Right.
We wouldn't
Sure.
hear a friend or a loved one tell somebody, "Hey, it's just not worth it," right? And
Right.
and what I want to add to that is more importantly, we are, but you're worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're worth way too much than to put yourself in this situation because what comes after this could be it's going to be out of your control. This is the last second that you're in control.
Yeah.
Like once you do that, you're giving up control to luck, right? You're giving up control to
Right.
the legal system. You're giving up control to luck. You're giving up control to that person to either react in their own way or even respond legally against you, right? So
Right.
you have this moment right now. What are you
Pretty
going to do?
much.
Right. Right. And so that's real difficult. That's real difficult to understand why you're in the heat of it, right? So is walking away or just leaving, is that a healthier enough response?
That's I'm actually really glad that you asked that, because I'm going to say that it is, but
Mhm.
you got to do it in the right way. And what I mean is so for years, we as men, right, have been told to walk
Mhm.
away. We as men have been
Right.
told if a situation gets bad or whatever, walk away, because a lot of us were raised in an era where getting
Mhm.
physical or really getting into it was our
Right.
reactive tendencies. So we've been
Mm.
taught and it's been ingrained in us to walk away. Which if you're doing it for that purpose, is a fantastic way of like just step back, process it a little bit, and kind of just get remove yourself from a situation before it gets too far, right? However,
Okay.
reason why I
Okay.
said doing it the right way is if you are involved in a relationship with somebody, or the argument or the moment is happening with a loved one, you have to make sure that that loved one realizes that you're not walking away from them, you're walking away from the situation. Other words,
Mhm.
if you're doing it as like a power move and you're doing it to upset them, or you're like, if you're just aggressive and you leave, they could interpret that as you're walking out on them or you're leaving them. So it is
So like when
important in those moments to say, hey, look, I'm not leaving you. I'm leaving this situation right now, but I'll be back. Right. Like that way you don't leave them with the feeling of abandonment, essentially. And you're kind of at that point being emotionally abusive, even though you don't intend to be.
you can't just say, I ain't dealing with this right now. I ain't got time for you right now, and just walk away.
You can, but I think that you run the risk of doing more damage later on, right? Like,
Okay.
I think because the idea, like, once again, what's said and what's heard are two different things. And
Right.
oftentimes, if you're upset and you're angry, and I don't have time for this, well, you got to remember the other person is in a vulnerable state at that moment as well. And
Right.
so what they might hear is,
Right.
I don't have time for you. You are not worth my life. And in the moment, that might be what you mean too, even though
Right.
long term, that's not really what you're trying to say. What you're trying to say
Right.
is, I'm emotional at the moment. I need some time to process.
Okay.
But
What if
if
the
you,
person says, you're running away? You're running away. Why you always run away? Because you hear that. You hear people say
sure,
the person never stays. They're always running away. Never
sure,
want to deal with the problems. What about that?
yeah,
Is that
and that's
because
why I
they never?
said,
It's because they don't make that turn, right? They don't come back and resolve it.
yeah, and that's why I said that. In that situation, if I'm realizing things are getting heated and I need to take a moment, that's what I'll say to the person. Hey, I'm this is not going anywhere at the moment. We're getting aggressive. We're not really listening to one another. I'm going to go ahead and take a step back for a little bit, and we can address this later. And if their response is, well, you're running away, look, I hear you. I'm running away from this situation at the moment. I'm not running away from you. And then don't let them goad you back in, because we both know that's a passive aggressive way to get you to come back into the argument, because
And
they don't want you to walk.
And then do you pull out your calendar at that time and go, okay, see right here, I have time May 16th at 6 p.m. Is that good for you?
If you want,
to check
it
your
might
calendar
not
to
go
see
over
if
well
that's
if you do that.
okay?
Yeah, it might not go over well, but you could do that for sure.
Well, because you got to come back and have the conversation, right? But one
At some
person may
point,
want it back like in 5 minutes, right? Or come right back.
yeah.
And then one person may, yeah, I've also seen the person that just like starts walking towards you, and then the person is complaining, and then the person just turns around, doesn't say anything, just leaves and just takes off again. You're like,
Yeah.
where's that person going? They're not even going to come back. So some people don't even come back for the whole night, right? So
Yeah,
is there a
even that's a
time?
tricky. Well,
That's what I'm
even
saying. Is
that's
there
a
a time span?
maybe. I mean, yes or no, right? Like each individual situation is different. One of the things
Right.
that I had to learn, right, and I can
Mhm.
thank you for being a catalyst in some of that learning,
Mhm.
is not everything has to be solved, right? Sometimes it's just not worth the solution. Sometimes it's just let it go. It's let's agree
Mhm.
to disagree, water under the bridge, right? While
Mhm.
other times it is important and it needs to be discussed. And so the thing that we have to keep in mind
Mhm.
is, it's not all just about you, right? Like maybe you don't want to
Mhm.
talk about it, but you have to respect the fact that if it's a partner, they maybe do want to talk about it.
Right.
And oftentimes talking about it means that they just want to be heard and validated. So if it is something that you're ready to let go, then let it go and allow them to kind of say their piece, hear them out, let them know that you acknowledge what they're saying. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but you
Right.
have to give them the validation, the respect of being heard. Because if you don't, then it's a control thing at that point, right? Now you're
Mhm.
controlling them and using it as a way to win an argument, right? Like, I'm not going
Right.
to talk about this because I'm not ready.
Right.
Well, you don't get to dominate that, right? They have a
Right.
say so as well. So it's a fine line.
Right. I'm interested in what people have to say. Listen, if you're listening on 1680 WOKB or 100.7 FM, you may not be able to call in live because actually we're taping this in advance, so you won't be able to call in live and give it to us. But if you want to respond to this, what I'd encourage you to do is send us a message. Trinity, can you tell them how to send us a message? Because I want to know what is their best response. I really want to try to get a handle on this, Trinity. I want to see what people are doing that they feel is a healthy response to an unhealthy situation. Because look, we can sit up here and I can sit up here all day long as a counselor and just give a lecture on correct responses. I could just do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I want the reality. I want to hear what people are doing that they feel like I feel is a healthy response. And then I want to hear like what's the response that they're getting back from the other. Like, does their partner think that's a healthy response? Does the other person feel like it's a healthy response? Or do they leave the other person hanging so much that they're like, no, that's unhealthy. You think that's healthy, but it's not healthy.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that walk away. And the reason I brought the walk away is because that's the one I hear the most often out there, is that the person walks away, but never just
Right.
is always running away from the problem, never wanted to deal with it. Whereas I have a little walk away in me that I think is healthy. because I have a walk away in me, but when I do, if I walk away from it, it's only because I feel like we're going nowhere.
Right.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
So if
and that's how I know it.
So if I don't walk away, and I know Marissa from Facebook Live, you can roll away, Marissa. I can walk away. You can roll away. No, look, everybody always thinks I'm mean when I say something. Marissa, we joke like that. She can handle it. She's a New Yorker. She jabs me. I jab her. We're good. But you have to get away. How about let's get away from the situation for a moment.
Right.
Get away from the situation. But if I don't, I feel like if I don't, Trinity, it ain't gonna, but I come back and I want to resolve it. I do want to resolve it. I do want to have a conversation later. I don't care how deep the conversation. It doesn't have to get to like a whole like, oh, we've come to an agreement. Now let's sign on the dotted line. Not that kind of resolve.
Right.
You know what I mean? But enough to know like that I didn't leave you hanging, and I'm not willing to ever talk about it, because you have to at least come back to a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're one of those that you're on pause, and when the person comes back from their walk or their timeout or whatever they did that was relatively healthy, and all you did is just wait for your own to just keep going, or you followed them, the following, don't follow. But if you follow and you don't let them have their timeout,
that's dangerous.
Or if when they come back, you're just right back where you were, then you didn't utilize that time any way other than to get more mad. And so are you really being the healthy one? So I want people out there, Trinity, to give us an understanding of what they feel is healthier in that situation. And maybe we help each other. Because I do believe that we are the community that can help each other, kind of thing. Like, what do they say? It takes a village. Well, be part of the village, people. Oh, I said be part of the village,
be part of the village, people. Well,
That's the only thing we thought about.
Gosh.
Right. Right. So how can they let us know? How can they give us some information?
Probably the two best ways would be either through social media, and they can follow us both at Dope and Dharma, or if they want to follow us individually, you are at the Dope Doctor. I am at the Dharma Guy. If email is your preference, then you can do so at Dope and Dharma. That's Dope, DOPE, the letter N, Dharma, DHARMA, at gmail.com. That's Dope and Dharma at gmail.com.
Right. Yeah.
So
video is best. If you have a little video, by the way, and you want to give your response by video instead of just texting it, I'll take the video. Right. Sure. I'll take the video. Matter of fact, we might even use it on a future program and show it if you don't mind. Just to be able to see your response like that. You know what I mean? Because I really do want people's responses to what's a healthy response. Response.
Yeah.
That's not redundant.
So I want to. So I agree. Right. Like I know firsthand about that, because I am a remove myself from a situation kind of guy, right? So my wife is a processor, right? What I mean is I've learned over the years that I like to kind of get a resolution in ASAP, and I'm able typically to get my thoughts about me and really have that conversation now, to where she, on the other hand, needs to kind of take a step back. She needs a process and really kind of wrap her mind through everything, and then she can come up with what her statement is. If you force her to do it immediately, you're probably not going to like what's about to come out of her mouth. So I've learned to give her I've learned to give her her space and her time. To whereas me, when I have gotten to the point to where, like you said, if I'm realizing it's circular now, that we're just basically not even listening to each other, we're arguing and fighting, I start to kind of get irritated of like, why am I doing that? Like, there's no ground to be had here. And so what I learned a long time ago, back with like anger management, things I had to go through, I was an angry kid. I learned to remove myself from the situation. If I could feel that like I'm getting aggressive, I'm getting angry, I'm not trying to hurt anybody, either physically or emotionally, I'll take a step back. I'll leave the situation and kind of cool down, if you will. And in those moments, let me just be the first to tell everybody, yes, like I'm going to reiterate what the great Dope Doctor here said: don't follow the person. If a person's genuinely trying to remove themselves from the situation, do not like barricade yourself in between the two of them. Don't try to pull them back. I know it's hard sometimes because you're emotionally in it, and those feelings, those traumas and stuff are coming up, but it never ends well. Don't do that. It's going to do is escalate the situation and take it to a level it most likely doesn't need to go to. So if the person is trying to walk away, allow them that space. It's much better to let them walk away and have those feelings than it is to make them stay and get the results of whatever aggression's about to happen.
You bring up something else in my head when you said that. All right. So people, let's say you're not in it. Let's say you're not involved in it. You're the third person in the situation. Two people arguing. You're trying to play peacemaker. Are you making it worse, or are you really helping the situation? Go, Trinity.
Oh, that's so you and I differ on this one a little bit.
Okay.
I am a firm believer of stay out of it because I don't know the context or the details. I do my best to kind of just like stay out of the situation and let adults handle it. My mother was involved in law enforcement, so I saw many situations where somebody would step in to they think that they're saving the day, and they actually get yelled at or whatever by the other person, because it's kind of like I can yell at my spouse, but you can't, type of a situation. Or once the feelings subside and they remember how much they care for one another, then it's them two against you kind of a thing. So I personally take a stance of I allow people to do their thing unless I see it like, if I'm sitting there and like the dude just hauls off, gets ready to hit her, I'm going to step in and be like, whoa, like enough of that. But if it's a verbal type thing, it depends on the, like if it's my kids, of course I'm a peacemaker. My kids start to argue and one of them says, so I was like, hey, enough of that. But if it's like strangers or something like that, man, I'll let y'all go at it, man. It's not my problem.
All right, so I don't know why you said that we differ if it's just words.
You like to get in the middle of stuff.
I don't. No, I like stirring the pot. There's a difference. I like to stir the pot on purpose if I want to, but I only like getting in the middle of stuff that I think is getting physical.
Sure.
I don't get in the middle of stuff if it's just verbal or if people are equal.
Right.
And what I mean by equal is if equal strength, like if it's just words,
right.
and it's not like a man abusing a woman, I don't get involved in that. But if it's a man abusing a woman,
sure.
Oh yeah, that's maybe that's what you're referring to. That I put myself in situations where I feel one person is being dominant and abusive towards another. Yes, I'll get in the mix. However, I agree with what Marissa said on Facebook Live, where she said peacemaker go between usually makes it worse. I do not get involved when like family members are talking to each other, or if two people are getting upset at each other. I'm gonna let that play out because I don't like it. If I'm talking with somebody, I want my full point out. I want their full point heard from me. I want to hear their full point, and I want to be able to express my full point. But usually the go-between is more anxiety-ridden and reactionary than the two people discussing, and it just makes it's just like, hey, I got this. Hey, no, it's okay. Back up. It's not that bad. It's not a big deal. Just shut up. Let me do it. And oh my God, bro, there's no way I'm liking it, so I'm not going to be that person. So I just want to make that clarification because I do get involved when I feel like someone is abusing somebody, but I don't get involved if just two people are just having a regular discussion. I don't give a damn.
Well, there's another aspect to that too, right? Like, because I could tell you right now from personal experience, especially when I was younger, if I was having like a dispute with somebody, be it my girlfriend or just a friend or whomever, I am an aggressive person by nature. And so if I was getting into a heated argument with somebody about something, and it's just at the moment, it's just an argument, but then somebody else steps in and tries to like gang up, I don't have the same kind of relationship with you as I do the person. I won't hit the person I'm arguing with, but I will hit you. Right. Like that's my mindset at the time. It's like, whoa, bro, like you don't come putting your head in, because now it's just going to escalate to a situation it doesn't need to get to at this point. I'm not that person as much these days, but it's still in me. And so if I get pushed to a certain level, then I'm liable to do something really bad for all of us. Like that's another reason why I personally try to stay out of it, because you don't know the context. You don't know all the emotions. Like you said, if it's not getting physical, man, it's best to just stay out of it.
Right. No. I look, one of the things that we joke about that happened to us worst early in our dating when we were like in our early 20s was I felt like a guy was making us fight, and it was our first fight, and I felt like some dude's input just kept on making it worse, and I was like, dude, you're actually creating the fight. And I was so mad at him, and I wanted to kill him. And she was stopping me from that, and I said, no, you just need to let me handle this guy, because see this guy right here, he's causing us to fight, and we weren't fighting, we were just talking, but he had this little reaction over here, so from that point forward, is the life lesson has been learned. Like then, like
Right.
I'm hypersensitive to when I see it, I hear it, I watch it, and I'm like, ooh, I wouldn't want that to happen to me. So I'm
Yep.
definitely not doing that. However, if let's be clear, if you're out there and you see somebody that's going to hurt somebody or verbally, like, look, we see a big case right now that's on, and I know this isn't the We the Middle show, but there's a big case right now where somebody got involved because somebody was threatening people and all this stuff. We'll hear later how it all plays out in regards to the threats, what was said and everything. But at least at first glance and at first report, it was a lot of threats, a lot of comments, a lot of things. And, I've been in that situation where I may not say something yet. It'll take something to put the hands there, but at least I'm starting to prep. I'm starting to prepare. I'm moving,
Right.
certain people to this side of me. I'm getting in a
You're stretching
posture.
out.
Yeah. I'm getting in a posture, whatever, of just to know, what's about to go down. Hell, I think it's funny that Marissa's on here. And she saw we were at a hotel not too long ago. And it's weird saying we met up at a hotel because it was very innocent, but it sounds very bad.
I was going to leave that one alone.
Yeah, but we were at a hotel with some friends and everything like that. Anyway, we were at a hotel, and there was a person. There was a homeless person that was directly right behind me, and so I think Marissa caught me just kind of getting my wares that I had in my pocket just situated. I just had him situated. I was just situated just in case because it was right behind me. And the worst thing that you can have is somebody that's verbally like frustrated and has nothing to lose. A matter of fact, everything to gain because they'll gain a place to sleep that night. They'll gain a meal that night. So to them, it's a reward to go to jail that day. And to me, it's like, no, I don't want this frustration in my day. However, if I have to stick this in the side of your neck, I will, but I don't want to. And I think Marissa, I don't know, Marissa, you'd have to tell me if you saw me do that, but I think you did. I think you did. But anyway, so those kind of situations are different. But I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of reactions and responses that we can have as human beings. And I think it's real easy to play Monday night quarterback, right? Or, Monday morning quarterback and be like, oh, I would have done that different. I would have said, but I guarantee you, if we all could have that, and I'm loving it, by the way, that commercial with the red flag, I want it. I swear I want it. The red flag. I wish we could play everybody's life back. Just let's play it back. What did you do? Because you think you know how you would respond and react, but let's see what you have done in your life. And if we were all more honest with ourselves, we'd see, no, I react a hell of a lot more than I respond when there's emotions involved. Because emotions are really hard to temper, which is why I wanted to call the program today Just Breathe. Because it's literally, we just got to.
Yeah. What was that one? Take like 10 seconds before you respond or something like that?
Something. Bro, let me tell you something. Oxygen is so much better than alcohol or any drug that you can think. I know some of you think, I just need to smoke something. maybe. But oxygen is the best thing you could do. You really need to get some oxygen in you and start killing. Actually, there's science that shows that long, deep breaths actually increase, that blood cells in your brain to get more clarity of thought. You actually get more clear thoughts through heavy use of oxygen. That's why they have oxygen bars even now. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Because you get this clarity of thought and this just interesting ability to gain perspective. And that's at that moment, right before you react, you need some additional perspective. I mean, you might already be on a course. Like you may already be like, I'm going to do it. But before you actually do it, there's still time out. There's still a timeout that you could take, and that's my concern, Trent. I think many of us need to take that time out, but at the same time, we need to prepare the situation a little bit more. But here's how I know that a lot of people know that it's about to happen, Trinity, because they got phones playing already. They already got record.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So there's people that already can feel something about to go down.
Yeah.
I know something about to happen because they already have their phone out.
Yep.
Right? Have you ever seen people already start recording a situation? You're like, what are you recording? Like I'm more looking like make sure my family's safe and like there's an exit available. And
Yeah.
and you're thinking about it as much as I like to record. Look, as much as you and we record a lot, we post a lot,
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, but I don't have that kind of stuff because
No.
it's not
No.
happening.
Things can go wild too quickly. I'm not trying to be a part of that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think we need more help from people to know what a healthy response is. So I guess going back to what I said, so walking away can be a healthy response if your partner knows you're coming back.
Yeah.
You're not running away to never talk about it. You're not running away from the situation or like what you said from them. You're running away from the emotion that they don't like, they're not experiencing very well at the moment, and they need to gather their thoughts, gather their emotion, and then come back and have it in a mature manner. But if you don't come back and have it in a mature manner, by the way, then you're not trusted. And then so the person's not going to let you leave because they're not going to trust that you're ever going to come back. That's the thing. So let's talk some more responses. What are some healthy responses then, Trinity, other than taking a time out for yourself?
If a situation is getting out of hand, this is going to sound counterintuitive and hard, but remarkably effective. Listen. If you're in a situation where you're getting agitated, you're getting emotional and stuff, instead of responding to whatever it is, instead of saying something, just listen. At that point, just listen to understand. That's probably the safest, most skillful thing I can think of. Is instead of defending, instead of reacting, instead of responding, instead of defending your stance or correcting or any of these other things that you feel the urge to do, the absolute safest thing is to listen. Listen to understand. Really try to understand where they're coming from. And what you'll notice in doing so is, number one, they're going to feel not as hyped up anymore because they're going to feel heard and validated.
Right.
You're going to be able to process it more because it's really hard to get angry at somebody whose story you know. So if you just listen to that person tell you how they're hurt or whatever, and instead of defending it, you really just tried to understand it. If you have any sort of empathy for that person whatsoever, you're going to understand what it feels like to feel what they were just feeling. And you're going to say, well, I didn't want you to feel that way, blah, blah, blah. Like your response is going to be a lot different as opposed, because oftentimes, like he said, you're on pause, right? So if they said something to upset you, you're not even listening to them tell you that they're upset or why they're hurt. All you heard was that one thing that pissed you off. And then in your head, you're just already like, you're wrong. You're just waiting for them to stop talking so you can let them have it. And that's what I mean by stop trying to respond and instead just listen. Really, truly don't respond until you can pair it back to them exactly what it is that they're saying. Meaning, hey, all right, so what I'm hearing you say is this, and do that until you get it right before you give your response. And I think that's one of the safest things to do.
And don't do that sarcastically. Don't clarify sarcastically.
No,
because you're trying to clarify. You're not trying to be a sarcastic punk.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
All right. So here I want to jump on to what you're saying on there because I like where you're going with that. Here's what's okay to do, people. What's okay to do is to say, I'm gonna need a little time to process what you just said. I need to let that marinate a little bit. You got some points there that I got to think more about them. So because some people want you to, they're expecting the fight, right? They want to hear your opinion now. No, but what are you thinking now? I really gotta let that. I gotta let that marinate. And that's okay. People, if they know that you're processing the information they just gave you, and all you're doing is asking for some time to just like really think it through because they may have a point there, then they're okay. You know what I mean? They'll let you get that time for the most part because they like that they feel like, oh, so you're coming to think like I do. You're coming to agree with me, because you don't have to. By the way, you don't have to have an opinion at the moment. That's the rule. You don't have to have an opinion. You actually can ask for time to think. Call a friend. I need to phone a friend. Is there a lifeline that I can use? I mean, I don't know this answer to this. If you just say I don't know, that could be problematic. If you always say I don't know, I know that because that I have a go-to sentence like I don't know, and Dana does not like me saying I don't know. She goes,
me too.
She goes, oh, now you. Yeah, she goes, oh, now you don't know something. You don't have. Sorry. So just don't say I don't know. It says, I got to think about that. Let me think about that. And God, man, it's so much softer. Something about being able to let something marinate and think about it and come back later with a response is a softer way of being for some reason than just saying, I don't know, ask him. Or something like that.
Wow, yeah.
Like or saying that's ridiculous. That's stupid. By the way, using words like that stupid, what they hear is you're stupid.
Yeah.
If you say that's ridiculous, what they hear is they're ridiculous. When you use certain words, those words might carry a weight that you didn't mean to give them. Right now, some of you mean to give them. Like sometimes I know exactly what dart I'm using. I know the dart I'm using, but sometimes I'm like, that's not that. That was a Nerf dart, babe. That was a Nerf dart. You're just overly sensitive right now. But you can never tell somebody that's being overly sensitive that they're being overly sensitive. So immediately apologize for throwing the Nerf dart. Don't try to convince them it was a Nerf dart. It's not going to happen. You got to.
You're overreacting.
No, you know what? You know what? I'm sorry. It came out wrong. Don't say they heard it wrong. Say you came out wrong. I mean, there's little things because your goal, again, your goal is to resolve the situation.
It should be.
And if you,
some people's goal is to be right, and that's where you.
You know what? That's if you got to be right, that's a part two. Okay, if you got to be right, this ain't for you, kids. Sorry, this ain't for you because if you got to be right. You're probably just you're wrong, and that's why you got to be right. You're trying to win somewhere in life because you're so used to being wrong. Anyway, Trinity, how can they watch us, listen to us? For our next episode, next show, maybe one of our other shows like Dharma Time or We the Metal.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always go to YouTube and look up Dope and Dharma, or you can go directly at youtube.com/@Dope and Dharma, and you'll find all of our shows there.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right, everybody. So that's the Dharma Guy. I'm the Dope Doctor. We got to release the show back to Shaw over there at WOKB 1680 AM or 100.7 FM on your dial, Trinity, in the Florida area, in the Orlando, Florida area. Anyway, unless you have any parting words that you want to give or no?
No, I think we said it.
That's how I feel. I feel like I've done what Johnny Cash does. He sung his song and it's done, and I've said what I had to say, and I'm done. Adios, amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.